Can you explain the SAVE Act and its effect on the right to vote, especially among married women? I've been seeing a lot of this on social media.
Right. So the SAVE Act is a law in search of a problem because it purports to solve the crisis of non-citizens voting. And non-citizens voting is already against the law. It is designed to stop what Republicans say is the problem of voter fraud. Voter fraud is extraordinarily rare in the United States. It's really not a problem. But there is something that is like voter fraud that we do have a problem with, and that's election fraud. Election fraud is when you alter the system in such a way that you can win an election because you have, for example, gotten rid of a lot of the people who otherwise would vote. And that's really what's going on with the SAVE Act, because by requiring documentation in person of your citizenship when you vote. First of all, that knocks, I think it's about 140 million people don't have, for example, a passport, which is one of the ways you could document that you're a citizen. But it also provides a real problem for American women because those women who have birth certificates, many women change their names when they get married. And so their birth certificates do not match their adult names. And that, I think, is about 69 million women. Those numbers are off the top of my head. And that's a real attempt to get women away from voting because women overwhelmingly support the Democrats. And people like Peter Thiel have said that really we shouldn't have women voting because they tend to vote for Democrats. But in this case, it's important to remember that voter fraud is actually extraordinarily rare. And the idea that we have to do things to stop non-citizens from voting, that virtually never happens. You're more likely to get hit by lightning twice than have that happen. But it's also important to remember that election fraud, skewing the vote in such a way that people who would vote against you cannot vote, that's actually quite common in the United States. And that's something that we have seen in the modern era, really since 1986, when the Republicans started to do it. And then especially after the 1993 passage of the so-called Motor Voter Act, when after that attempt of the Democrats to make it easier to vote, Republicans began to say that when Democrats won elections, they had done so only through fraud. And that's where you get that concept really rising of voter fraud, although it's really never been a thing, I promise you.